After 18 years of just struggles and losing several coworkers, some to suicides, some to line of duty deaths, I realized how painful my job was. So much so that I ended up with post-traumatic stress on a level that I'd never even realized. I didn't even know that what post-traumatic stress was. Really, I thought that post-traumatic stress was something that people in the military got. I thought that you had to go to war to get post-traumatic stress. You can have huge breakthroughs because our trauma is imprinted on our limbic system. And it's imprinted on our bodies, in our bodies. And as men specifically, we tend to suppress our emotions. We tend to not want to feel our feelings, and we just think that there's nobody that has experienced the same experience we've had. There's nobody that is feeling the struggles that I'm feeling. There's nobody I can talk to. There's nobody that could understand me. That's so far from the truth.
On average, 100 firefighters lose their lives in the line of duty. However, that number doubles when it comes to firefighters and in committing suicide. That is an alarming leap, and that is not the only number that had that, and that's only those that have been actually recorded. There are far more that go on to the end of their lives and are never even recorded. And the leading cause of this suicide has to do with PTSD. And in today's episode, I'm going to interview Nick Wingo, a retired firefighter and PTSD survivor, as he shares his hero's quest that led him to form Build Grit, where he guides men on how to fight the fires of PTSD. And before we're going to get into all that, I just want to remind you to hit like, subscribe, and share on your favorite platform so you can stay up to the latest content, as well as helping me grow the Awakened Man message. And for that, I just want to say I'm truly grateful. So let's get on with today's episode.
The average man today is sleepwalking through life, many never reaching their true potential, let alone ever crossing the finish line to living a purposeful life. Yet, the hunger still exists, albeit buried amidst his cluttered mind, misguided beliefs, and values that no longer serve him. It's time to align yourself for greatness. It's time to become a revolutionary man. Stay strong, my brother.
Welcome, everyone, to the Revolutionary Man podcast. I'm the founder of The Awakened Man and your host, Alan DeMonso. Have you seen things in your life that can't be unseen? And do you have a path to finding your way out of these images? No one wants to see the horrors of life, yet some occupations are inherent to them. For the most part, these occupations are predominantly male, and without a resource to help them, many struggle with parts of their career, while others feel the only way out is to end it all. But there is hope, as my guest today is about to share his story. Nick Wingo spent the early part of his life as a firefighter paramedic, where he saw things that most people could never even understand. And after retiring as a firefighter, Nick put his passion into conquering PTSD and helping others to do the same. He began coaching men through some of the battles that we face by becoming in sync with our inner self and practicing breathing techniques. Nick was able to heal himself from trauma and uses his trauma as a factor in helping out men today. Welcome to the show today, Nick. How are things?
Oh, they're great, man. I really appreciate the warm welcome. I appreciate you just sharing a little bit about who I am. I'm really excited to be here, and I really just have a passion to just share the stuff that I've been through so that I can help somebody else. Because at the end of the day, we're all struggling. We're all in some type of form of struggle. We all have fear and anxiety and depression and pain. We all have those things. And so if I can help just one person, just one man, one individual work past it, that's where my real true passion is.
Right on, brother. Right on. And that leads right into my opening question that I ask all my guests, and that is that we spend a lot of time in the Awakened Man talking about each of us being on our own hero's journey, or we call it a hero's quest. So tell us a little bit about your trials in your life that you faced and how that shaped who you are today and the work that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity to share. I started out as a firefighter as a young man. I was 18 years old. I came in right out of high school. I thought that was what I wanted to do for my whole life. Even when I was a kindergarten, I had said I wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to go out and help people and really make a difference. And so I went after that. I went after the thing that I wanted. I went after the thing that I thought was going to be this beautiful, amazing thing. And it was. There was so many amazing things that happened through my career. I had so many great opportunities, and I met so many amazing people. And I saved people's lives, and I did things that were, just really amazing things. To be in a room where you've actually seen somebody who's dead and you see them come back and have life come back to them. It's something that is,
Wow.
it's amazing. It's phenomenal. But there's also a flip side to that, and that is the death that you see, the hurt, the pain, the destruction, the just all the stuff that comes with that job. And I never realized that I was in what I was signing up for. Honestly, I never understood completely what I was getting myself into. And so, getting into the fire department at 18 years old, I had this vision of what it was supposed to be, and it was that. It was definitely, you are a hero. I mean, the women love you, the men want to be you, right? And that's why you get into the job. It's part of why you get into the job, is that, that whole, like,
Sure.
I really want to be someone. I really want to be, I want to have this thing that I'm a hero, that I'm showing up for people. And, after 18 years of just struggles and losing several coworkers, some to suicide, some to line of duty deaths, I realized how painful my job was. So much so that I ended up with post-traumatic stress on a level that I'd never even realized. I didn't even know that what post-traumatic stress was, really. I thought that post-traumatic stress was something that people in the military got. I thought that you had to go to war to get post-traumatic stress. And so I never thought that that was something that I could have. Well, my nightmares, my lack of sleep, my outbursts of anger, they spoke otherwise. And so I looked at my partner one day after 18 years and I said, man, I'm having nightmares. I can't sleep. And he went to my captain, and my captain came to me and said, hey, you gotta take a day off. Like, you gotta go get evaluated. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll take a day off. You guys want to give me a day off of work? Perfect. I could definitely use a break. Well, that turned into me leaving, because I ended up really diving into what I really had going on. And as I opened up the veil, and as I just started to discover the damage that I had, I ended up in treatment for 35 days. I spent 35 days in Maryland, and when I was there, I just realized I just don't have it in me to go back to the fire department. I just can't do it anymore, because I had suicidal ideations. I had all this stuff that arose, and I just understood that if I went back, and really, with talking with my doctor, if I went back to this and I put myself in the same position again, I was going to end up right where I was before. So I left.
Yeah, no kidding. I would well imagine that by that point, the realization of the career that you so loved and wanted to be in and were in was just not going to work any longer. And so at that point, you're in the middle of this trauma now and you're dealing with it. So what steps did you take to peel back the layers from this trauma that so engulfed you?
Yeah. So once I got into treatment, I understood that I was there for me, and so I went all in on it. I went all in on me. I went all in on doing everything I could. When I left, I just was not fulfilled. There still was this piece of me that was really uh, seeking something more, something better, something that could really help me on a higher level, because I felt like I started my work, but anybody who starts this journey of self-discovery and really looking inwardly, you'll quickly realize that there's always deeper levels. There's always something else. There's always another thing to work through. And so I was on a significant amount of medications, and I knew I didn't want to be on medications for the rest of my life. Um, and I knew that I needed to find something that I could use on a daily basis to help me for the rest of my life, because I knew, based off from the things that I learned in treatment, that this was something I was going to be dealing with for a long time. It's not something that was just going to go away. So I had a choice to either just take these medications and lay down and not do anything with my life, or I could choose to push in and lean into it. And what really drove me to lean into the work is that when I left the treatment facility, there was a man I was there with. He came to me and he said, "Hey, you're really starting to understand this stuff, and it seems like you're getting better. Like, what is it that you're doing?" And I kept on trying to talk to him and help him. And a few weeks after we had left treatment, he committed suicide.
Mm.
And so I at that point, I was like, man, I'm really going to figure out this whole post-traumatic stress thing on a high level, and I'm going to help people work past it. So I wrote a book. It's called Building Grit: How to Fight the Fires of PTSD and Come Out Stronger on the Other Side. And that was just my first thing of like, hey, if you're going through these things, here's a way to look at things a little bit differently. Here's a way to just change the way you're looking at it. And then once I did that, I went out and I was still just seeking, like, what is the thing that's going to really help me? I went out and did ketamine, and some of these other treatments to help me pharmaceutically get through some of this stuff. And that stuff helped me significantly, but I still was just not getting exactly what I was needing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I bumped into breath work, and I realized how powerful our breath is. And once I realized how powerful breath is, and I started to breathe every day using several different techniques, I started to have massive breakthroughs. I started to have the ability to work through things at a high level that I had never had before. Now, don't get me wrong, I still struggle every day with stuff, right? But now I have this amazing tool that I can use to help me work past those things.
Absolutely. And I just made a note there about something for all of us listeners to pay attention to, is that all of us will struggle day to day with stuff, but it's about learning a technique or having something to help you go through it. And you mentioned your breath work. And so I want to just touch a little bit on that. So what kind of breathing techniques did you use to help that allowed you to really focus on your inner self and do that work?
Yeah, so there's two styles of breath work that I've learned and that I actually teach and coach on. And one style is called conscious connected breath work. Conscious connected breath work is a series of open mouth breathing. It's really uncomfortable. It's really hard work. You do it for about an hour to music. What it does is it actually stimulates the vagus nerve. And when you stimulate the vagus nerve is what gives heart to mind connection. It's body to mind. It's actually 80% communication from the heart, from the body to the mind, and 20% mind to body. And where the vagus nerve connects in the brain is the spot where our ego lives. It's where our thoughts, where our ego, where all that stuff is. And so when you stimulate that connection and you get that connection between body and mind, you can have huge breakthroughs, because our trauma is imprinted on our limbic system. And it's imprinted on our bodies, in our bodies. And as men specifically, we tend to suppress our emotions. We tend to not want to feel our feelings. We don't, because it's uncomfortable, because we got taught as young men that that was a sign of weakness. That was, just feeling your emotions that's what weak men do. And I realized that is so far from the truth. That's just it's just a load of crap, really. Really, where the power is having the ability to feel your emotions, feel your body, and then process them, and process them in a healthy manner, and then use them to transition into a better man. And so when you do conscious connected breath work, you're able to get that connection with your body, and you're able to start to feel those emotions, feel those things in your body, because you're actually physically feeling your body. One of the things I do when I'm breathing is actually like feeling my heartbeat, really feeling my heartbeat in my chest and in my arms and in my hands and in my feet. Because when you feel your heartbeat, it gives that connection. So that's one of the most powerful exercises, the conscious connect breath work. It's been amazing.
Nice.
Really.
Nice. Excellent. And so as you continue to do that practice, did you look at doing any other type of spiritual practices to help you? Like, had you tried anything like meditation or other things? How did that stuff work?
Yeah, so I had been doing meditation. I never could really fully get into meditation. I just could not connect with meditation. There was a block there for me. Yeah. But once I started doing the breath work, I was actually able to get into deeper meditation. So one of the other styles of breath work I do, well, there's two ones I do. I like to do Wim Hof breathing just because I enjoy it. I don't coach it. But the other style of breath work is Soma breath work. Mm-hmm. And Soma breath work is a lot of breath holds, a lot of Om chanting, left brain, right brain connection type of stuff. And the breath holds, man, doing the breath holds and getting into that deep state with the breath holds of like really feeling your body, really just getting into this. Just really clearing your mind, really shutting down that default mode network up in the brain, like shutting your brain down to where you're actually really clearing your thoughts. Once I started to understand that, then I was able to meditate. So it was once I learned how to clear my mind using the breath, then I was able to come back, and now my meditation practice has become stronger because of the breath work. But in the beginning, not so much. My spiritual practice was, I'm a Christian man. Mm-hmm. And so my spiritual practice was just, being connected with God and prayer and that type of stuff. But once I've discovered that the meditation, the breath work, it's brought me into such a deeper connection with God than I've ever had in my entire life. It's been amazing.
Yeah, what a great 1-2 punch, right? Between the breath work and the meditation. It just really settles everything down for yourself, and to really do that deep inner work that all men need to do, that we all need to look at doing. And I just love how you've been able to combine those two techniques. The next thing I wanted to get into, I really wanted to start talking a little bit about your book as well, this Building Grit. And in the book there, you talk about the pillars of grit. And I thought if you wouldn't mind sharing that with us today, what those pillars are.
Yeah. So my pillars of grit are gratitude, resilience, intuition, and tenacity. And so, gratitude, being grateful every day, just realizing that you can make it through anything. Like, there's nothing that can stop you, right? There's when you're grateful for things, when you just give everything that you see gratitude, like even your fear, even your anger, all those things that arise, when you just go, hey, I'm really grateful for you. I'm just grateful that you're here, because everything that you have arising, it's serving you in some manner. So if it's serving you, if you give it gratitude and you're just thankful for it, the way that you're looking at it can completely change your lifestyle. It can change everything you're looking at. So instead of being so caught up in being mad or frustrated or, oh, this thing happened and now it happened to me, what if you just said, hey, I'm really grateful that this happened, because now it's like my whole story, right? All these terrible things that have happened, I'm grateful for them, because I wouldn't be sitting in front of you having this conversation had I not,
Yeah.
right? So having gratitude towards it instead of having judgment towards it is just a much better way to operate, right? And then being resilient, just never giving up, just keep on going, and, just to really figure out, like, there's going to be all these things that happen, but when you can bring resiliency in, when you can just be the one that continues to rise, when anytime you fail, you continue to get up, you continue to move forward, right? There's a lot of power in that. There's a lot of power in being resilient. And then intuition, really leaning into who you are, like feeling your emotions, being confident in your sixth sense, like really, because we're actually learning scientifically that our emotions are actually our sixth sense. Like we're discovering that our intuition, our feelings, they're real. Like they're real physical manifestations of our body. When you have an emotion that arises, it arises as a feeling, as a physical manifestation in your body. So, like for example, when I get angry, I feel my forehead get hot and red. When I get sad, I feel heavy in my chest. And so, if you can start to really tap into how those emotions show up in your body, you actually will notice the feeling in your body before you even realize the emotion that's arising. And so, having the ability to be in touch with yourself at that level is so powerful, because you can go, "Ooh, my forehead's getting hot.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get angry. Maybe I should like take a breath, because the next step from this is not going to be good." So if you catch
Yeah.
it early, right, there's a lot of power of that. So,
Absolutely. Right
and
on.
then just having tenacity,
Yep.
just not just being tenacious. Not a lot of people are just, they don't have the tenacity, they don't have the drive, they don't have the ability to just keep going no matter the circumstance, right? So just keep going. Don't give up. Just keep on moving forward. Just continue to reach, continue to get up, continue to move forward every single day, because you're going to feel like you can't, but I'm here to tell you, you can. You can do whatever you set your mind to.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like how you sum that up with the tenacity, and leads me to my next thought. There must be moments and times, and when maybe for yourself, but helping and coaching other men, is that we tend to stay in the past lots. And so how do you help guys face the reality that they're dealing with today, and to stop running from their past?
Yeah, so I mean, I think this goes to the perspective of just really understanding what anxiety and depression are.
Mm.
And so when you really understand what anxiety and depression are, it kind of makes you stop and go, ooh, that's not great. And so anxiety is being stuck in the future, right? So when you have anxiety, you're stuck in the future. You're in the mud. And when you're in depression, you're stuck in the past. And so when you understand that you're stuck, when you're in those states of mind, you can go, ooh, I don't like the sound of being stuck. That doesn't sound like the type of man I am. I'm not stuck. That's not who I am. That's not how I show up as a man. Nothing can hold me stuck in this thing. Nothing's holding me in this spot, right? And so when you understand that it's choice,
Yeah.
you are actively choosing your depression, your anxiety. Now, is it difficult? Yeah, it's difficult. If you don't have tools to work through it, it's hard. It's hard to get out of your anxiety. It's hard to get out of your own way. You're your own worst enemy. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, if you talk to your friends the way that you talk to you would not have any friends. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
And so we're our own worst critics. Like we're the most critical of ourselves. And so realizing that is a really powerful understanding to help you to realize that, maybe I'm causing my own anxiety and my own depression. Maybe it's me. And maybe I should just get out of my own way.
Yeah, totally agree with that. The note I wrote down was that that's not who I am, and I always like the idea of, I'm the kind of man who, and then however you fill that out, that's the person you want to show up as, right? And when we get stuck in those stories and in the past, like you're talking about, and worrying about things in the future, is that the type of man that I want to be? And I just like how you really centered that back into the present moment. That's just perfect. So is that part of the work that you also do in helping in figuring out how to get yourself back into alignment when you're falling out of alignment, or do you have other ideas?
I do lots of different things. There's lots of different stuff. You like mindfulness is a big one. Really being mindful of who you are and what you're doing and where you're going. There's all kinds of different ways to work through this stuff. My biggest thing though, really with alignment, I mean, body, mind, soul, spirit is really deep diving into inner child work. So discovering what your little boy needs, discovering all the negative beliefs that your little boy has that has gathered up from the years from when you were a little boy, and understanding how you can be there for your little boy. Really understanding how can I show up for my little boy and just hold him and say, hey, dude, I really appreciate you. I know you've been protecting me for a long time, but I got this. It's time for you to go take a break. Why don't you have a pizza and a Coke? Because I got this, and I can take care of me, and I really appreciate you, and I love you, and I care for you, but I don't need you to take care of this anymore. I can do this. I don't need you to show up for me because I can show up for me now.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate how you're talking about that and doing that inner child work, because that is where a lot of our limiting beliefs come from, don't they? And so that was the next thing I wanted to get into, is to get a sense of, is that one of the things that you're doing, is that inner child work to help break through those limiting beliefs, or are there other things that you're doing as well?
Yeah, I mean that's the big ones. I think the biggest problems we suffer with as men is we don't know how to feel our emotions.
Hmm.
Right? We don't know how to feel our bodies. We're uncomfortable in our bodies. We're uncomfortable in our own skin. Right? A lot of men they're overweight. They can't look at themselves in the mirror. They can't and trust me, I've been there. I've been there. You want to know where you're at as a man? Go stand naked in front of the mirror and look at yourself square in the face and look at yourself. Can you stand to look at yourself in the mirror? Can you stand to see what you see in front of you? Like that's hard sometimes for some men, right? And if you don't like what you see, what are you doing? What are you doing? How are you changing that? How are you showing up for you? Right? How are you going to show up for that man that you're looking at in the mirror that you can't stand to look at? It's a powerful exercise. I mean, really, stark naked. You really see you for who you are. that can be a difficult thing to do. Really can be a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, no kidding. What a practice as well, right? To stand there and be able to fully accept, and love yourself as just as you are. You may not be at the place that you want, that you're desiring, and you aspire to be, but to at least be able to be in the reality of where you're at, and have some waterline that you can at least take a step forward. So would you say that's one of the reasons why it's so important for us to give ourselves some grace? Or how did you come with that idea of, being able to give ourselves a bit more grace?
For me, it's just understanding that I'm doing the best job I can do. Like I am showing up as the best I can show up, right? And understanding that it's okay to not be okay. And
Mm.
in this day and age, with all these alpha males and all these men telling you push harder and work harder and do these things, like, yeah, that's great. Work harder, push harder for sure. But there's also a time for rest, and there's also a time for solitude. There's also a time for slowing down. And so understanding that you don't need to push harder all the time. And so one of the things that drives me crazy is that so often these days is men give this persona that they need to push.
Mm.
You push to get what you want to get. And yes, to a certain level, but at some point you're going to push yourself right off the cliff.
Yeah.
So just, understand when you need to pull back and rest and be in solitude and get connected with yourself. Like, it's so important to give yourself that grace that you don't need to be pushing harder, right? You don't need to listen to everybody else around you all the time. Take the things that work for you. And if you're a man who just doesn't do anything, that's not right either. Like, if you're just laying there and you're on the battlefield and you're just playing dead, like, you're not doing yourself any favors. However, there is a time to lay down. There is a time to rest. There is a time to regroup. There's also a time to work hard and to fight and to push through and embrace that warrior within you. And so learning about that balance, which I know a lot of people say there is no such thing as balance, and that's okay. I believe there is.
Yeah.
When you believe there can be a balance, you can just give yourself grace. You can give yourself grace and say, like, okay, I can be working hard in this moment, and I can also be resting in this moment. So it's just learning how to be okay with right where you are, right? And then just owning it. And I mean, that's the whole idea with standing in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
It's just looking at that man in the mirror and going, hey, you know what? I love you and I care about you. And I really want to do this with you. And I want to have some fun while I'm doing it. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really appreciate you talking about this, about having balance. And I totally agree with you, because I think for some people, they believe that there's just no way to have balance, but I don't see balance necessarily as a teeter-totter. What I see it as, whereas, it's perfectly level all the time. I see balance as that there are times, like you're saying, there's times when you need to push and you're moving things forward. And then there's that time to take a step back and relax. And so that balance is being able to, it's that game, right? That we play, and it's about being in the dance of life and living that way. So I really appreciate how you brought that forward. Of everything that we talked about today, and maybe there's something we didn't touch on just yet, what is the one takeaway you would want our listeners to remember?
Yeah, it's just that you're not alone. Like, you're not alone in your struggle. Men, and specifically, we just go through life and we just think that there's nobody that has experienced the same experience we've had. There's nobody that is feeling the struggles that I'm feeling. Like, there's nobody I can talk to. There's nobody that could understand me. That's so far from the truth. There are so many people that are going through the exact same thing that you're going through. And if you just stopped and you went out and you asked for help and you looked for a community of men to hold you up, you can't do it on your own. You can't do life on your own. We're not designed that way. We're designed to be living in tribes. We're designed to be with other men. We're designed to be in community. So understand, if you are not putting yourself in community with other men, you are missing out on a beautiful piece of life. And so understand you're not alone. Go out, find other men to do life with, because when you do, there's so much power in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. And what a great way to sum everything up today. I just want to say thanks, Nick, for spending time with me today. And, life is going to challenge us, and that's just a fact. And when it does, it does allow us to build grit. And I loved your acronym for grit, as you shared with us today. So if someone wanted to get involved with your work and join any of your programs, what would be the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest way is just go to my website. If you go to nickwingo.com/breathwork, there's a little tutorial I have to offer you, is just 5 breathing techniques you can help you to get work past your anxiety. And then that'll just give you a chance to get in my ecosystem, see some of the things I'm doing, find my social media, all that type of stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll make sure all that information is in the show notes, and so people can get a chance to get out and reach out to you. Nick, I want to say thank you once again for being on the podcast today. I really appreciated having you here.
Thanks, brother. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for listening to the Revolutionary Man podcast. Are you ready to own your destiny? To become more the man you are destined to be? Join the brotherhood that is The Awakened Man at theawakenedman.net and start forging a new destiny today.